morning, welcome to CATEX TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. Today is Friday, November 8th, 2013. If you're listening to this on the radio and want to watch, go to www.catex.com. Very quickly, before we start with the news, there does seem to be the outlines of a deal in Geneva, Switzerland between the Iranians and the so-called 5+1 group, which is the main group of the UN security members plus Germany. French Foreign Minister, the German Foreign Minister, and U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry have flown into Geneva. Apparently an agreement is close. The Israelis have said that it is a bad deal and they will renounce it. Meanwhile, in the Philippines, a huge event is unfolding. We know that many Filipino people watch this show, and our hearts go out to you. What could be the most powerful storm ever on record, Typhoon Haiyan, known locally in the Philippines as Yolanda, has winds of 235 miles per hour and is striking the central portion of the Philippines right now as we speak. The country is on war footing. President Aquino has promised a military-like response. There are some 35 helicopters ready, innumerable soldiers, as well as transport aircraft. But right now, no one can do anything. The storm is moving at about 25 miles per hour to the northwest. Came ashore in Leyte at about 4:45 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time this morning. They're expecting storm surges of up to 25 feet. Currently, right now, in some of the flooding areas, water is up to the second story of homes. More than 12 million people are at risk from this storm. As I said, it is the biggest storm, the strongest storm ever right now on record. When it passes over the Philippines, it will move across the South China Sea. And right now, the projected storm path has it impacting Hue in Vietnam. The U.S. Navy Joint Typhoon Warning Center is tracking it very closely. Catastrophe modeling firm AIR Worldwide has issued an estimate for insured losses from the October storm that struck Britain and Western Europe. They're now up to as much as $2 to $3 billion U.S. This is significantly higher than the first estimates were only about $400 million that came out from the broker Willis Re, and then they revised it a week later and came up to about $1 billion U.S. Meanwhile, the Spanish surety claims that have hit Houston Casualty Corporation as well as SCOR, the big French reinsurer, following that court decision, could end up costing the insurance industry, listen to this, over $2 billion U.S. This is according to J.P. Morgan. Initially, the Insurance Insider, quoting analysts, had speculated that the industry-wide loss could only be about $1 billion. This is going to be something else that's going to continue to grow, I'm sure. Meanwhile, Tesla Motors, the automaker, confirmed that a fire burned up one of its $70,000 Model S hatchbacks. This is the third fire Tesla's experienced in 5 weeks and triggered calls for a federal safety investigation. Normally, car fires don't influence investors. Tesla's stock has taken a beating and a punishment for this. However, because Tesla is an electric car and is using the lithium-ion battery, i.e. the Boeing 787 type battery, although far smaller, there is heightened concern about the battery fires that have been occurring. Thus far, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has said that the first 2 fires did not stem from the battery, but were as a result of an accident. They will, of course, investigate this one. Europe's biggest insurer, Allianz, based in Germany, reported better than expected third quarter profits as a strong performance in its main property and casualty insurance arm offset a downturn at its investment division. They saw operating profit decrease only about 0.7%, but it was still $3.25 billion U.S. for the 3 months ending on September 30th. The Lloyd's reinsurer Novae has reported a 14% drop in its sales of reinsurance. They apparently are putting their money where their mouth is and have decided not to sell reinsurance unless they can get the pricing and the underwriting terms that they want. They scaled back its reinsurance business following the defection of a team that it had based in Zurich to the company called Q Re last year. It turned out to be very fortunate for them. Meanwhile, the London-listed carrier Lancaster yesterday did complete its £266 million acquisition of Cathedral. Cathedral Capital Group is a Lloyd's syndicate. This deal had been announced some months ago, in August actually, but it was finally consummated yesterday. The Richard Brindle-led business Lancaster now has a seat at the table in Lloyd's. Marriott, the hotel group based in Maryland in the U.S., has reached a deal to acquire one of sub-Saharan Africa's largest hotel companies. For some $200 million, they're buying Protea Hospitality Holdings. This is a big step for Marriott. They don't have access currently to sub-Saharan African hotels, but now in one fell swoop, they're one of the biggest players there. The bet on Africa is that the competition there, especially growing emerging markets in sub-Saharan Africa, will see fast growth in the future. Building African hotels apparently is not easy. Poor infrastructure in many countries cause high costs in transporting building materials. Yesterday we talked a little bit about the potential for meteor strikes in the world, stemming from new data from the Russian February meteor. Last night in Southern California, the skies were lit up from north of Los Angeles all the way down to the Mexican-U.S. border south of San Diego. Dozens and dozens of meteors were reported. One streaking over Los Angeles apparently was a fireball. It was filmed and it broke into several pieces before it hit the ground. No reports of any damage or injuries. However, keep your eye on the sky. That's the news for today. Our thoughts are with our viewers in the Philippines, and we'll keep looking at this. If anything major ramifications occur, we'll come back on the air. Have a good weekend. We'll see you Monday.